Thank you, sir. Very good morning to all the panelists and participant. I myself, Dr. Abhijit Kumar, working as a farm manager at Central Poultry Development Organization and Training Institute, Bangalore. I have past experience of duck production and management. I have worked in our duck unit of CPD and TI from 2011 to till 2014. So today, since as we all aware that the information on alternative species are very scanty, so CPDI and TI is organizing this discussion forum on alternate chicken species, in which I am going to cover the overview of my presentation. I will cover the historical background about the domestication of the ducks, commercial ducks, then the present scenario based on the livestock census, then different breeds of exotic and indigenous, then what are the major advantages compared to the chicken farming, then different rearing system and management system, and I have a little bit glimpse of hatchery management of commercial duck production. I will cover it. Then feeding and watering of commercial ducks. So common diseases which will be encountered, some of value added products, foods, and some repulsive and unethical duck foods also I will try to cover. Few proposed interpretation business model also I will try to cover. So the historical background, the domesticated duck belongs to the descendant of mallard. Except the Muscovy duck, the majority of the domestic ducks is a descendant of the white mallard. The scientific name of this duck, Anis platyrhynchus, is derived from one Latin and two Greek words. So there is the history is the China has domesticated these ducks 3,000 to 4,000 years ago, and there is a traces. If you see the picture, you find the traces of the where a pharaoh of Egypt is sacrificing the duck for the religious purpose. So these are the some traces. Even we found some traces about the Roman Empire, which they are using the this white Peking duck, mallard duck for rearing for food purpose, and Southeast Asian countries like Philippines and other Southeast Asian countries like Philippines, China, they also breed this bird in captivity for food purpose. The present scenario, the present status of this duck population, as per the Basic of Animal Husbandry Statistics 2019 and 20th Livestock Census, there are 33.51 million population of duck, which contributes around 1.16% of the total egg produced. Majority of the population restricted to the river deltas, coastal areas, and northeastern states like Assam, Tripura, Meghalaya, etc. So the breeds, 90% are indigenous and 10% are exotic. So we will cover it some of the breeds of ducks based on the utility, like actually the popular breeds like Khaki Campbell and Indian Runner, Orpington and Bali. The table ducks, White Pekin, Aylesbury Muscovy, round ducks, general purpose Swedish crested magpie, and ornamental ducks, call, which is very famous, a garden duck, very attractive bird, small ducks, East India, Australian spotted, and mallard. So the indigenous breed, which is the based on the National Bureau of Animal Genetic Resources, which recognize the breeds of India, there are only so far only two breeds have recognized. One is Pati, which is a native of Assam. It's a good bird suitable for backyard and semi-intensive rearing. Get a body weight of 1.56 kg. And another breed is Maithili, which is recently recognized, and it's a native of Bihar. This is also suitable for both semi-intensive and backyard conditions. The other indigenous breed which are having a good performance in the field but still not recognized by the National Bureau of Animal Genetic Resources, these are the Sitmat Nageshwari ducks of northeastern state, then the famous Kuttanad ducks of Kerala, that is Chara and Chambali. Majority of the nomadic farming will be used these ducks only, Kuttanad ducks only, and the Arani ducks of the Tamil Nadu. These ducks are very well performed in the field but still not recognized by the National Bureau of Animal Genetic Resources. Efforts are being made by the Tanuvas and Kerala University to get recognition of these breeds. Then coming to the popular exotic type of breed, the main egg type, that is Khaki Campbell. So there are three varieties of this breed: White Campbell, Dark Campbell, and Khaki Campbell. These breeds were developed by a scientist, Miss Adelaide Campbell, in United Kingdom in the year of 1901. So 1923, there is a club have been found, the Khaki Campbell Club, and the president elected Dr. Arthur Campbell. It was very famous till 1923 to 1941 to in United Kingdom. Then it enters into the American market and listed as a watch by the American Livestock Breed Conservancy. The performance of this Khaki Campbell, if we these are the performance chart of Khaki Campbell based on the unit of CPD and TI performance done in the field condition in the semi-intensive rearing. The age at first tag will be produced around 126 to 130 days. 50% production will be achieved 146 to 150 days. The annual egg production capacity is 250 to 300 eggs. Egg weight at 40 weeks around 65 to 66 gram. Body weight is around 1.8 to 2 kg. Daily feed consumption per bird on an average 120 to 130 grams, equivalent to the white leghorn birds. The mortality rate is of duckling is bit higher, 2 to 5%, grower 1 to 2%, but adult mortality once it becomes 20 weeks old, the birds will become very hardy and mortality will be less than 1%. These are the pictures of khaki Campbell. In these pictures have been taken in our shed, duck unit shed. So here we can easily differentiate between the males and females. The sex differentiation, this is also one of the parameter, is very easy in case of khaki Campbell. The black head and the black drake feather is easily identified. We can identify the males, and females are purely brown. This is another picture of Grover khaki Campbell. These pictures where the males and females bit difficult to identify, but the blackness of the head neck will be started, and we can easily identify from far away. There is no need for handling of these birds. Coming to the another popular breed, exotic meat type, which is very popular in Kerala and Tamil Nadu areas. The name is White Pekin. Pekin is the oldest name of capital of China, Beijing. It's basically derived from the breed Mallard. Mr. James Palmer, he brought some 10 ducks in USA in 1876. From 10 ducks, he commercialized the ducks almost 500 to 600. The most popular duck in the world and the two strain in the market currently in the commercial market. One is French strain, Girimard strain, that is Star 53, and another is Vietnam Cherry Valley UK strain, that is a Vigoa Super M. They are known for their high growth, high reproductive efficiency, big size egg, almost 80 gram, white plumage, yellow meat flesh. The performance chart of this Vigoa Super M is day old body weight is 47 to 48 gram. Body weight at 4 weeks is 1.3 to 1.5 kg. Feed consumption is around 3 kg. Body weight at 6 weeks is 2.5 kg with a feed consumption of 5.8 to 6.2 kg with the FCR of almost 2.8 to 2.9. And mortality, as we covered, 2 to 3%. These are the pictures of Peking duck, and these pictures we have taken in our shed. The Peking, here the sex differentiation is very difficult. So there are three possible ways where we can identify the males and females. The first one is during the day old in hatchery itself, we perform the vent sexing. We'll press the abdomen with the proper vent sexing method, and we will very well appreciated the phallus in case of the males, where female there will not be appreciated anything. So that is the first method of vent sexing. Method of sexing. Second, while in the grower stage, the males, based on their quacking sound, the males will produce a muffled and low pitch sound, low pitch quack sound, whereas the female is having louder quack sound. Another method is the drake feather. That is we require to closer look to the birds. If drake feather is be present, that means it's a male, where female doesn't have that feather. Then what are the major advantages? Why we should go for this duck farming over chicken farming? The first is the important is the size of the duck egg is larger than hen egg. So overall, the density of the nutrients will be higher than chicken egg. So when we compare to the 100 gram of nutritional profile of chicken egg and in duck egg, the protein percentage of protein in grams of duck egg is around 13.2 gram, whereas poultry is only 12.3 gram. Whereas coming to the fat content of duck egg is 14.5 gram, and in chicken it is 11.4 gram. The third important nutrient is the energy one. Energy is also higher in duck egg, 191 kilocalorie, whereas in chicken egg is 163 kilocalorie. So for the nutrition point of view, duck egg is nutritionally higher than chicken egg. So there is a belief that where duck egg has medicinal property, that it will soothe the bowel. It is good for hemorrhoid, the person who are suffering from hemorrhoids and peptic ulcer. So because as the nutritionally they are high in fat content, 14.5%. So because of the 14.5% of fat content, it is good for constipation. The bowel movement will be very smoother. So this makes the person who are suffering from hemorrhoids and peptic ulcer feel comfortable while eating duck egg compared to the chicken egg. So this is the main thing. And other is ducks require lesser attention and thrive well in scavenging ground, especially the brooding part, especially the growing part. The compared to the chicken, duck is not much laborious, requires very lesser attention, and it's a good foragers, scavengers. Other thing is the rearing in intensive and semi-intensive and integrated system, where the ducks allowed to go outside after 10 a.m. or 11 a.m. So this is one of the more advantage thing about ducks. They lay 95 to 98% of their eggs in the morning itself. So the last one is they are definitely suitable for some of the integrated farming system like commercial layer farming, duck cum fish farming, duck cum paddy cultivation. Coming to the next about this different type of management system or rearing system. So there are three kind of system: intensive system, semi-intensive system, range extensive system, or nomadic system. When we talk about the intensive system, suddenly one thing will come to the mind. In intensive system, there was difficult to keep the water source, or we have to provide a water pond kind of thing. But in any stage, the duck doesn't require water for their swimming at any stage. So in intensive, if well designed, specific design drinkers and feeders will be provided, the intensive rearing of duck is very much possible. I'll go to the this one straight away, this slide, where Big Dutchman in collaboration with Osnabrück University of Applied Science, they manufactured these drinkers, Pekino drinkers, in which you can observe left side of the picture. This allows the ducks to submerge their head entirely. The skin of the near the eyelid have less vascular, less capillaries of blood vessels, which make them vulnerable to the dehydration. So this becomes scaly and crusty if the water will be not means used for their cleaning of eyes. So to make them hydrated, this area to make the skin to be hydrated, this Pekino drinker is very well designed. It requires very less water, and thanks to the mobile pendulum, which allow Peking ducks independently how much water they require, they can take it. They can fully submerge the water. They can clean their eyes. They clean their bills, and water will be fell down when they will push the pendulum. Second, right side picture is the more auger-driven automated feeder. These auger-driven automated feeders, since the eating habit of duck is bit hard, very rough. So this auger is made up of a different kind of metal that we called as a manganese alloy. So when we add 2% of manganese in iron, it becomes steel, which is anti-rusted. But when you add 12% of manganese into the iron, it becomes a manganese alloy, which increase the surface toughness by 3 times. You imagine the surface toughness of the iron will be increased by 3 times. So this makes the this auger to be worked for more than 20 years without any wear and tear. Next is semi-intensive. This is being followed in our CPD and TI duck unit, where we provided a night shelter with the floor space requirement of 2.5 and 3 square feet, with run space of 10 to 15 square feet per bird, partition of 3 feet, and with two channel. One channel is purely meant for the dirt which carries the duck from the pen side. This will not allow the water will become dirty early. Then second channel is the common channel of water, where it's used. The water will be used for swimming, for drinking. This channel will be 50 centimeter wide and 20 centimeter deep enough in lengthwise. The only disadvantage of this system is when the disease outbreak of one bird will happen through common channel of water, it will transmit to the others. Transmit to the other disadvantage is suppose the South Indian states where the water is the main issue. 100 feet of this channel, 50 centimeter deep and 20 centimeter wide, will require 1,000 liters of water, and this we have to change daily. So you can imagine a shed, how much one shed will consume per day water requirement in the states, and especially in our CPD and TI, where the water is scarce always every year. This is third time of farming system, extensive rearing system, nomadic farming system. This is more popular in Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Here, the duck farmer will driven these birds or move these birds from one place to another place to seek some paddy harvesting area, or the farmer will have an agreement with the paddy owner where recently it is get harvested. These birds will go to the paddy field. It will eat the leftover grains, snails, beetles, or water insects. In turn, the duck feces will fertile the land, and because of their eating habit, they will loosen the soil, which facilitates the fertility. So ultimately, what will happen? This farmer, the duck farmer, is not putting any money, any investment towards night shelter, towards feeding, and he's getting the almost 90 to 95% returns. The third system is integrated system duck cum fish farming. So 200 ducks is sufficient for this 1 acre of fish farming. In this integrated system, the duck feces will be act as a fertilizing of the pond, which acts as the feed of the fishes. So there will be not required any extra or external sources for the fertilizing this pond. Another is the integrated system of duck cum paddy farming, most popular in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana. Coming to the glimpse of hatchery management practices, so principle is almost same. Temperature, humidity, ventilation, turning, and position of eggs. So ducks incubation period is 28 days, except Moscow with 35 days. The temperature of setter should be 99.2 degree Fahrenheit, and humidity is around 60%. Wet bulb temperature is 87 degree Fahrenheit. And hatcher again 1 degree will reduce the temperature, and humidity will be increased it to 75%. Regarding this position of the egg, the broad end up, narrow end down, and the turning should be every 45 degree of turning every half an hour. It is must. The candling should be done. There are two ways of candling. One is on 14th day, second is on 25th day. So 25th day, normally most of the breeders will do the candling, and after candling, the fertile eggs will be transferred to the hatcher. So the problem with this hatchery management practices of white Pekin ducks and Khaki Gamble, their hatchability is very much dependent on the season. The highest hatchability recorded in the winter season of 57 to 60%, and the lowest hatchability recorded in the summer season, it's 43 or 44% because of the infertility. Means the infertile eggs will be more, so that's why the hatchability is also poor. The nutrient absorption in the egg is also poor. So seasonally, it is very much dependent. The second important point is the duck have lot. The duck will inherit the lethal genes to the progeny. This is very much common in white Pekin ducks. So this also causes a chromosomal aberration, and cell division will not occur, and the embryo death will occur at the 18th day or 19th day. To avoid this, there are a lot of techniques have been happened, but not there's no authenticated in that. Like people are using liquid paraffin to block to reduce the water loss. People are using spraying of lukewarm water just to prevent the water loss to increase the hatchability, but there's no authentication in that. So once the duckling will be hatched out on 28 days, we'll go for brooding. The brooding of ducks is bit easier than this commercial chicken. So ducks will be brooded in slat flooring system. The eating habit of ducks is they will drink copious amount of water. So because of the copious amount of water, their feces material have lot of waters in the water content in the feces, which makes the litter will be wet. So always advisable either wire floor or slat flooring brooding in case of ducks. So since their body temperature is 41 degrees Celsius, and they cannot maintain their body temperature till 14 days. So we must provide the external source of heat either through electrical brooding or gas brooding. This gas brooding in case of white Pekin, the brooding temperature is 2 to 3 weeks, means brooding period is 2 to 3 weeks. In case of Khaki Gamble, it is 3 to 4 weeks. Then coming to the rearing, again 5 to 16 weeks, means once the brooding period will be over, the intensive system where we are providing less space, 3 square feet. Semi-intensive, we provide 2.5 to 3 square feet, because since we are providing the 10 to 15 square feet outside the run space. In case of extensive system, 2,000 birds can be reared easily per acre of the land. Adult stock, that is after 16 weeks, in intensive system, since their body weight is almost 4 kg, we are providing 4 to 5 square feet of floor space. Semi-intensive 3 square feet, same run space, nest box size for the breeder hen, 30 by 30 by 45 centimeter for 3 ducks. The sex ratio for the white Pekin bird is 1:5 ratio, and for the meat type 1:7 or 1:8 ratio. The lighting, the photoperiodism, just to maintain their circadian rhythm, is 14 to 16 hours. So we have to calculate the 12 hours of light, and the best is the usage of red light for the rest of the hours. So 2 hours in the evening and 2 hours in the before onset of before the sunrise. Then feeding and watering of the ducks. As the statement is clearly said that I should never have access to the feed without water. So this statement is very much justified because the ducks physiologically they cannot store the feed. They have a crop, but they don't have control over the storage of feed. Unlike in poultry, the crop is very much controlled and they can store the feed for longer time. But in ducks, they cannot even store for 1 hour or 2 hours, which results the choke of the feed of choke will get the feed will get stuck in the esophagus, and due to this choke, the ducks will die immediately on spot. And they are then second thing, they are good foragers. So you can, apart from the commercial feed, compounded feed, the farmers can provide some guinea grass, Rhodes grass, groundnut fodders. They can very much thrive in. They can very well thrive in that kind of this grasses. Then the ducks may be grown on dry mesh, wet mesh. Wet mesh, since as I told you, they cannot swallow the feed because of the this crop reason. So wet mesh will be provided by diluting 10 liters of water in 100 kg of feed. This will be provided daily, and make sure that the all feed will be get emptied, because these ducks are very much prone for aflatoxicosis. In feeding standard as per the BIS 1992 and 2007 recommendation for the intensive and semi-intensive rearing, commercial one, the chicks protein requirement is 20%, energy is 2600, grower 16%, energy is 2500, layer 18%, energy 2600. For purely for commercial meat type, the same starter and finisher 23 and 2800, 20 and 2900. In case of duck, the supplementation of vitamin like choline and nicotinic acid should be must provided. Choline is a methyl donor, which helps for the breeder birds to not deposit excess fat, which is very much required for the breeder birds. Coming to the important and common diseases of ducks, so these are the common encounter diseases in India, which is prevalent is duck plague, duck cholera, aflatoxicosis, duck viral hepatitis, and rhamnosus. So duck plague, it's a viral disease, herpes virus, characterized by free blood filled in the lumina of intestine and body cavities. This is normally encountered to the breeder birds. The problem is it's a vertically transmitted disease. So there's no treatment for duck plague, but can be prevented by giving a proper shot of vaccination at the age of 10 weeks, live attenuated vaccine. Next disease is the duck cholera. This is very common in semi-intensive rearing, as the rats are the main reservoir for this host, and common channel will cause the sudden mass infection of the ducks with same incubation period. This is caused by a bacteria known gram-negative bacteria known as Pastula multicida, but can be well treated with the wide spectrum of antibiotics. Sulfa dose, sulfa 100 gram in 1 gram per liter of water for 3 days, then plain water followed by half dose, can be given 5 days. So duck cholera will be totally get cured. This duck cholera can be prevented by doing vaccination at the age of 4 to 6 weeks. The alum precipitated killed vaccine would be injected 1 ml. Then third disease is aflatoxicosis. So this aflatoxis is the ducks are very sensitive to the aflatoxicosis. They cannot tolerate even 0.03 ppm of the aflatoxin if it is present in the feed. So the liver become pale. It will affect from any stage of ducks. So this will be very much take care. Though there is no treatment, only the source of it should be removed as early as possible. The fourth disease is duck viral hepatitis. Still, this disease is not prevalent in India. This is another viral disease affecting 1 to 3 weeks aged old ducklings, causing a severe hepatitis to the young birds. So, since it is not much encountered in the body, so vaccine we are not getting of this disease. The last one is rhamnosus. This is very common diseases, and mostly it is unnoticed. This is another gram-negative bacteria, often confusion with pasteurellosis. This is caused by the Rhamorella anati pestifer. This disease, the clinical will be identified straight away through clinical signs. Ataxia, tremors is a one sign. Second, the ducks will lie down and start paddling, and suddenly they get died. So this is very common. There's a lot of question arised during the day of discussion one day in our group, where a lot of this expert farmers, they are getting this kind of clinical sign. So it is a rhamnosus. The disease is rhamnosus, very common in India, and can be treated very well with gentamicin injection or amikacin injection, or usage of this androsin syrup 1 ml per liter. It can be treated easily. The vaccination schedule, there are only two vaccines will be available so far, duck cholera, duck plague, and all vaccines are available only in the government sources. Private players are very less who are manufacturing this duck cholera and duck plague vaccine. The source of the vaccine are Institute of Animal Health and Veterinary Biologicals, Pado, Trivandrum, then Institute of Animal Health and Veterinary Biologicals, Hebbal, Bengaluru, Institute of Veterinary Preventive Medicine, Ranipet, Tamil Nadu, and Institute of Veterinary and Animal Health, Kolkata. So duck cholera will be done at 6 weeks or 4 to 6 weeks. It's a killed vaccine, alum-precipitated vaccine, 1 ml, and after 1 month of the primary vaccination, 2 ml can be given. Second, the duck plague at the age of 10th week, 1 ml subcut we are giving, and after 10th day of primary vaccination, we'll go for the booster dose. Coming to the some of the value-added products of the ducks, as you see in the picture left side, more mouth-watering dish. This we call the Peking duck. So there is a difference between Peking and Peking. Peking is a dish name. It's not a dish breed of Peking. Yeah, this Peking dish will be made either through goose, either from goose, either from white Peking, either from mallard. So this, how this Peking dish will be prepared? It's a very famous dish, entire South Asian countries, China. Here, the air will be filled in between the skin and flesh to get separated, and then this the layer, the attractive layer, this shyness of the skin will be come through the use of maltose. They will use maltose. They will use honey. They will use certain spices, and they will simmer it. Then they will keep for 180 degrees Celsius in clay oven for 30 minutes. And the right side is they will serve this skin separately and flesh separately with the hoisin sauce. Second is very popular in European and Western countries, American countries. Duck meat, salami, and sausage. So these salami and sausages will be prepared by three methods: raw meat preparation, fermentation, and drying. So they will add duck fat and meat. They will use some spices. Then they will go for fermentation with the so that the lactic acid will cure the meat. Then the cure meat will be filled into the casing, and they will make it this salami and sausages. Next product is duck mayonnaise. So as I told you about the duck egg, the fat content of duck is 14.5%, which increases the lecithin content of the egg. So this makes the mayonnaise, which is nothing but an emulsion of two different liquids with one emulsifier. So duck egg lecithin will act as an emulsifier, and the resultant product mayonnaise compared to the chicken egg will be more thick and creamy. The last value added product, the last product, it's not a value, it's a byproduct. We call it the down feathers. It's a tiny feathers located underlined with the this tough feathers. These feathers are very much demanded in the global market, and the highest producer and user is nothing but China. China is using these down feathers. So if you go to the e-commerce website, you find these kind of jackets. So they'll mention it. The brand name down jackets. So these down jackets are very fine thermal insulated property. So very costly. One jacket will cost you 1,500 rupees based on the based on the how much down feathers had been used. Some of the bizarre duck food which is totally banned in India, but it is very much used in other states. The first one is ballot. Ballot is this is a duck embryo which is street food of Philippines and China. Where here the 14 days or 21 days old as per the demand, the duck embryo will boiled and eating just like as we are eating a pani puri in our street food, they are eating this ballot. Highly unethical and repulsive, I can say. Second is foie gras production. India is foie gras production. It's nothing but a fatty liver. This is also very unethical. The duck will be force fed twice a day with high energy diet for 28 days to make the liver fatty. India is the first country who banned the foie gras, who banned the import of foie gras, who banned the production of foie gras in India. So foie gras is a well cuisine delicacy of the French cuisine, very much demanded. So the evolution of this product is through goose liver and then shifted to the white Peking. Now 35% of the foie gras production is coming by mullard ducks. Mule ducks or mullard ducks. That means mallard males cross with the white Peking females. So then these ducks will be used for the foie gras production. Right side you can see there is a pipe. They will fed directly to the esophagus, means straight away near to the gizzard. The high energy diet which makes the liver fatty. Then coming to the proposed models of entrepreneurship in ducks, there are three models: livelihood model, diamond model, and entrepreneurship model. In livelihood model, it's a proposed model. So the government agency will provide it at 25 years, 6 months to aged 25 khaki Campbell ducks to the rural women of the household. We assume that the 15 out of 10 to 15 eggs will come daily. In that, 5 eggs will be used by themselves for their family members, for their child. Another tax egg will be sold in the premium price or normal price. Now, currently the eggs price is 5 rupees 50 paisa to 6 rupees. So duck eggs will be easily sold to 8 to 10 rupees. So,
Abhijit, sorry to intervene. Another 3 minutes or 5 minutes.
yeah, sir. Yeah, sir. The next diamond model. So in livelihood model, by selling 10 eggs, the rural household women can easily generate 50 to 100 rupees per day, even yearly 3,000, and if you consider the culled meat also, the 4,000 per month, a rural household woman can generate the income. The second is diamond model. It's a self-help group on farmer producer organization model, where a self-help group will be made for 25 women. Will make one central rearing facility and central selling facility. In central rearing facility, we'll use some panchayat building or some abundant poultry sheds. So the self-help group will be get provided the day-old ducklings. These day-old ducklings will be reared for 6 months. So each woman of the self-help group has to contribute on the daily routine work like feeding, watering, and this brooding. So once it will get 6 months old, it will be distributed to among the women. Then these women will be reared another 1 year, and the one secretary will be appointed in among self who knows the knowledge, who has the knowledge of accounts and ledger, who will collect the eggs and do the selling in central selling facility. And once the income will be generated, it will be distributed equally among the women. So third one is entrepreneurship model. It's a full-time model, intensive rearing, where three batches of 200 duckling will be reared in 4 months gap. So to by that this 4 months gap, at any stage, at one stage, 400 number of ducks will comes in production. So this 400 ducks, we can assume that 240 eggs it will lay. The ducks will be totally fed on the palm pith, all unconventional non-feed, almost non-conventional feed system, which will be easily available nearby villages like palm pith in Kerala, where the palm trees is very common. So 240 eggs out of 400, we can assume this 240 eggs will be sold. If the cost of production will say one egg is 3 rupees, he sold it the price of 10 rupees. So 7 rupees he can generate per egg. So total cost he will generate is around 1,680 rupees per day from the 6 months. So this is the entrepreneurship model, which is very much helpful for poverty elevation and elevation of unemployment. So the summary of overall discussion is the duck is suitable for any agroclimatic condition in India. Their eggs and meats are nutritionally higher or similar than chicken eggs, suitable for rural development with the shift of focus on diversification of poultry. Duck farming will elevate the poverty, will elevate the unemployment. So I will conclude my presentation by saying proverb, a Chinese proverb, not the cry but the flight of the wild duck leads the flock to fly and follow. It means our actions are louder than our words. Thank you.
Fantastic, Abhijit. Fantastic. Super.
Abhijit, I am really impressed. It's a thorough presentation.
Sir, thank
My
you.
God, this is Bible, sir.
Very nice, very nice.
Entrepreneurs-
All because of our director, sir. He exposed me.
Sir, goes without saying. We are here because of him. So I would not be mentioning him. Take it for that, sir. But, sir, give me one more.
Let me summarize 1 second.
Yeah.
So, Abhijit, it is very, very impressive, very comprehensive presentation.
Sir.
And I would wish you will be the future duck expert in the country.
Sir.
Years, 10 years, I would wish that you will be the India's expert in international arena.
Inshallah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Sir.
Very, very thank you so much.
Yes.
We will have an entire discussion in the end. So
Yes.
now I would request Dr. Sonali Nanda. Abhijit, you can stop the screen
Yeah.
sharing.
Yes, sir.
Let me introduce my another future leader of our CPDO TI, Dr. Sonali Nanda. She's working with both poultry unit and turkey unit. So she'll be briefing you on turkey in India, Turkey, what are the opportunities of Turkey, how things are unraveling in Turkey. So just to give you a summary of what Abhijit said, see in duck, you should remember that China is the capital of ducks. So Peking is the capital earlier, what present Beijing is there. So that is how we will imagination, what Peking has converted into Peking. So China dominates the industry of ducks. Southeastern nations like Vietnam, Southeastern nations like Philippines, all these are the countries where duck is occupying a bigger say. And in India, if you see duck production and an entrepreneurship which we are going in a large sector, I would say it is very limited to few metros like the kind in Delhi, Pune, Kerala, West Bengal. So all other centers, one interesting story I'll tell in the end, where one gentleman is earning per month 8 lakh rupees. 8 lakh rupees, an engineer who left and started Duck Unit, and their company is now based in Mumbai, and then they are from my native place. So I would request Dr. Sonali to share the screen and then start a presentation
Yes, sir.
of your things. Yeah.